Hi, this is Mike with Skull Dynasty. Today we're going to talk about players I'm targeting late in drafts at each position. The first one I did quarterbacks that are outside the top 32, and I have three of them that I'm targeting, especially in Superflex. Jimmy G. We're not sure what the situation is in San Fran yet. He could still be the starter. Most likely not. If not, San Fran might trade him maybe to like the Panthers or Seattle or something like that. So, and he's a proven quarterback. He's been in the playoffs. Isn't a bad quarterback. Isn't a great quarterback. So you can get him a good value right now. The next guy I have on my list is Mayfield. With the Watson situation, he might be back with the Browns. Most likely not. He could end up in the same spots as Jimmy G, Seattle or Panthers. Both ain't bad situations because the Panthers have DJ Moore and Seattle has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So at least he's got good receivers to throw to, even though Baker Mayfield is known for throwing towards the middle of the field instead of the outside. So that might be an issue there. But it cost Baker's a good pickup. Also, Marcus Mariota with the rushing upside, with good talent around him. He has London and Pitts there, at least to throw to. So there are my three. The next position I'll do is tight end, and these are guys also outside of the top 32. I have five targets at tight end. So the first one is Dolchich with the Denver Broncos. They drafted him this year out of UCLA. He's behind Albert O, but Denver usually uses the two tight end formation a lot, as well personnel. So I could see Dolchich getting his fair share of targets as well. Along with Russell Wilson being there, that helps out the offense as well. Next up, I have Azuma. He was on the Bengals last year. He's on the Jets now, competing with Tyler Conklin. They're both not bad tight ends. So I think they'll use both of them in the 12 personnel as well. I think both of them guys are good late targets, along with Hunter Long with Miami. He was injured last year. I always liked his profile. It's really good. And Cade Otton with Tampa Bay. It doesn't hurt to take a shot on him now that Gronkowski's retired. Who knows if he's coming back, but at the cost of it's worth picking him up. The next group is wide receivers I like outside the top 50. I have Robert Woods. He's also coming back from torn ACL. With the Titans, especially how Traylon Burks has been this offseason in training camp. He's having breathing issues and stuff like that. So Robert Woods is a good target. I heard he's actually doing really well in the training and everything for coming back for the injury. Tyler Boyd's another guy I like. He's always been a really good player. Wide receiver 3 with the Bengals. So he's always, and then Pickens, George Pickens with Pittsburgh. He's ranked outside the top 50. I always trust the Steelers organization. They're really good at drafting players. So I like George Pickens a lot. It's a shame of his injury history. If he had no injury history, who knows what his draft capital would have been like. He probably would have been a first round pick. Next guy is Russell Gage, always a good player with the Falcons. I had him rostered in a couple of my leagues. Always liked him, solid player. He gets targets. So especially being with Tampa Bay, um, with Godwin out for the first half of the season, it just really Mike Evans and Gage there. So he should be seeing a lot of good quality targets from a great quarterback. Next up is Jacoby Myers with the Patriots. I think he's their best receiver there. I know they have Parker, but he's really inconsistent. Next guy I have on this list is Kenny Galladay. He was just suffering through injuries last year. I always like Kenny Galladay. He's a good player. A lot of people are down on him, but he could be the alpha receiver there. A lot of people like Kadarius Toney, but last year he was injured a lot too, so who knows. Next up is DJ Shark. I always like DJ Shark. His sophomore year was an incredible year. His rookie year wasn't that good. He had an injury last year. I um, I think a change of scenery might be good for DJ Shark. I wouldn't be surprised. If he has a bounce back year, I wouldn't say like his sophomore year because Detroit has a lot of targets to go around. With DeAndre Swift, Hawkinson, Amara St. Brown, and JMO now. But I think he could return back to, I would say 700, 800 yards isn't out of the range of possibilities for him. Another guy on my list is David Bell, great college production. Um, he really his combine wasn't the greatest in the world, but production matters more for receivers, and he's got good size too. He's over 6 foot, 200. So, and I'm really high on David Bell. Corey Davis, he's been solid the last couple years. So Corey Davis is another guy. Landry. With the Saints, with Olave, Michael Thomas, who knows if Michael Thomas will be back for a full season or not. So I really like Jarvis Landry, especially with Jameis Winston throwing the ball. So that's a really good situation at a cheap price, along with Tim Patrick as well. I think he's their third best receiver behind, obviously, Sutton and Judy. I think he's their number three. And at his cost, it's good. Running backs, targets for I broke it down the same thing with quarterbacks and tight ends. It's 32, like ranked 32 and under. The first guy I have on my list is Damian Harris. A lot of people are down on him this year because he had so many touchdowns last season, and I think that's a mistake. I think Damian Harris could repeat or slightly regress from last year, but I think he's a very underrated player, and he's a starter for the Patriots. The next guy on my list is Chase Edmonds. Really good receiver, really efficient in yards per touch. He's not a guy that's going to get 20 carries, but if he gets 10 carries a game, 5 targets, he could put up, 12 points, 15 points a game, easy. Next guy on my list is Ramondre Stevenson, another Patriots running back. He looked really good in the preseason and regular season last year. If Damian Harris goes down or anything, I think he's their number 2 back with New England. The next guy on my list is Rashad White. The reason why I like Rashad White a lot is his 40 time was pretty good. It was a 4.4, somewhere in that range. He's a really good pass receiving back, and he's on Tampa Bay. So he might be. I see Fournette being used on all 3 downs, but if anything happens to Fournette or if he needs a breather, Rashad White could be really efficient. He reminds me of Chase Edmonds, Tony Pollard type. And the next guy on my list is Rashad Penny, dealing through injury histories the last few years. We finally got to see what Rashad Penny can do. He's a very efficient runner when he is healthy. Next guy on my list is Alexander Madison with Dalvin Cook's injury history. Madison is a really good guy to plug in there. He has RB1 potential. So let's say if Dalvin Cook goes down halfway through the year, that's a really cheap cost for the production you're getting. Another guy I have on my list is Darrell Henderson with Cam Akers coming back from his Achilles. It's always good to have a guy like Henderson in the same situation with the Vikings as well. Just to have a guy there that's been proven and been productive. I really like Henderson this year. Khalil Herbert is another guy I like with the Bears. Very productive when Montgomery was down last year, so he's definitely a guy I would look to roster. Next guy on my list is Kenny Gainwell with the Eagles. Eagles have a crowded backfield. They have Sanders there. They still have Boston Scott. They usually use a rotation there, but for now, I see him at Gainwell. He's highly efficient and he's a good receiver. I think he should get more work this year. The next guy on my list is Brian Robinson with the Commanders. I don't know what's going on with Antonio Gibson. I still think he's their best back there, so he'll probably be their primary back. But I have a feeling they're loading up at running back because of the injury history with Gibson. He usually plays through him. Maybe they're trying to keep him fresh. So I think that's why they brought back McKissick as well. I expect Brian Robinson to get a lot of work. The next guy on my list is also on the Commanders, J.D. McKissick, because his receiving role with them in the passing game. Naheem Hines is another guy I like. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to need a little more rest this year than last year, so I think Hines could be a really good late round throw. Foreman, Deontay Foreman with the Panthers. I think he's a better back than Chuba Hubbard, so he might get the number two role. And with CMC's injury history, is a guy I really like. Chris Evans on the Bengals is another guy I like. I still don't know why the Bengals don't put him in the number two slot ahead of P. Ryan. I still think Chris Evans is a better player, a better pass receiver when he gets in there, very efficient. Another guy I like is Pierre Strong on the Patriots. I know he's back behind um, Damian Harris and Stevenson. But I like what I saw on tape from him. Very fast. His 40-yard dash time is good. He looks like a good player. Almost like a Darrell Henderson type. That's what he reminds me of. And Benjamin is the next guy I have on my list. Along with Keontae Ingram, whoever gets that role, backup role with the Cardinals, in case anything happens to Connor, you want to have a shot at that with the highly efficient offense ran by Kyler Murray. Next guy on my list is TDP with the Niners. Tyrion Davis-Price. He should get some touches this year. I project them probably over 100 touches this year, backing up Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell is a really good player. I think he'll be the number one, but Tyrion Davis-Price should get a nice chunk of carries this year. So that's it for the day. Have a great day. See you on the next one.